What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so I want to go ahead and continue with this top 10 greatest role players list that I have been working on and got a little sidetracked from completing. And just to do a brief recap, at number 10, I had AC Green, the Iron Man. At number 9, I had the much detested, despised Draymond Green, a pick that a lot of people didn't like. At number 8, I had the six-man originator, Frank Ramsey. At number 7, I had the feisty and chirpy, but underrated Danny Ainge. At number 6, I had Lamar Odom, one of the most gifted physical players in the NBA history. At number 5, I had Michael Cooper. At number 4, I had the Secretary of Defense, Bobby Jones. At number 3, I had the sturdy and scrappy Derek Fisher. At number 2, I have a man that many people consider the greatest six-man of all time, or the greatest role player of all time. I can understand why they have him there. I have him at number 2, Robert Horry. Robert Horry, a phenomenal basketball player. If there was a role player Hall of Fame, he should most definitely be in it. Robert Horry, one of the great clutch performers of all time. But he was more than just a guy that knocked down clutch shots. There were certain aspects of his game that I think over time have become a little bit forgotten. Look, he was never more than at any time usually the third best player on the floor. But he was invaluable to the teams that he belonged on. He was very competitive. I never got the Will Smith thing. I never got that. People say you like Will Smith. I didn't see it. And I never saw that. But anyway, Robert Horry played 16 seasons in the NBA from 1992 to 2008. And he played for the Houston Rockets, briefly for the Phoenix Suns. He played for the Los Angeles Lakers. And he finished his career with the San Antonio Spurs. He won championships in 1994, 95, 2000, 2001, 2002, and 2005 and 2007. And his 7 NBA championships are the most that any player has ever won who has not played for the Boston Celtics. He also holds the NBA record, the NBA playoff record for most made threes in a row without a miss. And he holds the NBA playoff record for most steals in the game. In college, Robert Horry was a noted shot blocker. And if anybody remember the 1995 NBA Finals, Robert Horry, who I think that was his most dominant performance ever in a series, or at least in a final series. I think maybe in a series. He regularly blocked Shaq's shot in that series. And I think he averaged something around 17 and 10 in that series. So he was clearly the Rockets, he was the Rockets' third best player in that series behind Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler. Robert Horry was born in Maryland, but grew up in Alabama. And he was drafted back in 1992 out of the University of Alabama. I think he was 11th overall pick that year. Drafted by the Houston Rockets. And early on in his career, he showed that clutch ability. And when the stakes were highest, Robert Horry was cool as a cucumber. And like I said, he was more than just a guy who knocked down shots. The offense, of course, never revolved around him, but whatever scraps he got, he made the most out of it. He's an underrated passer. During the 1995-96 season for the Rockets, he averaged a career-high 4 assists per game, which is pretty good considering that he was not a guard. You know what I'm saying? He was a very underrated passer. He was an underrated rebounder. I forgot what season it was. What year was it? It might have been 2002, 2003, I think it was. One of those years, Robert Horry averaged 6.4 rebounds in just 29 minutes a game. So he was underrated in a lot of aspects. He was an underrated defender. Very underrated defender. People just think of the clutch shots, but he was an underrated defender. Matter of fact, I believe he set a school record at the time for blocked shots for Alabama. So yeah, this guy was definitely underrated. He was underrated from an athletic aspect. Now, over the end of his, toward the second half of his career, he kind of put on a little bit of weight. Not fat weight, but just got a little bit bigger. And I think he weighed more around 240, 245. But when he first came to the NBA, he was around 220. And while we tend to think of him as a jump shooter, he most definitely could ram it on you. Could yam it on you and ram it on you. You know what I'm saying? Robert Horry's career almost got derailed. And that was because of the fact that at the trade deadline, I believe in 93, 94, and early 94, Robert Horry technically had been traded to the Detroit Pistons. He had been traded. Him and Matt Billard had been traded to the Detroit Pistons in exchange for Sean Elliott. What happened, however, was that this was the physical where Sean Elliott discovered that he had a kidney problem. And so the trade was rescinded. And Robert Horry credits this trade with saving his career because, man, if he had gone to the Detroit Pistons at that point, man, I mean, he would have been in the playoffs more than likely. And his career would have taken a totally different trajectory. May have averaged more points, more rebounds, but he still wouldn't have been a Hall of Famer and probably wouldn't have won any championships unless he was able to, ride a championship later on in his career. It definitely altered his career for the better in the eyes of the public, in the eyes of today's ring counting culture. After winning 2 championships in 94, 95, and I think midway during the 1995-96 season. No, it wasn't during the midway. It was after the season, excuse me. After the season, Robert Horry was traded to the Phoenix Suns. And his stint with the Phoenix Suns was very short. He got into an incident with then head coach Danny Ainge, who had just retired himself as a player after the 95 season. Got into an incident where I think he threw a towel or something at Danny Ainge, and that necessitated Robert Horry being traded. And that's when he was traded to early in 1997 to the Los Angeles Lakers. And that's where a lot of people, I think a lot of younger fans, remember Robert Horry. Robert Horry had many, many great moments in the playoffs. Many, many great moments. But no moment was greater than Game 4 of the 2002 Western Conference, I think it was Western Conference Finals? I'm always forgetting what round that series was in. I think it was a conference final. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm always forgetting what round that series was in. I want to say it was the semifinals, right? But anyway, Game 4 of that series, the shot clock is running down. Lakers are up 2-1. If the Kings were able to hold on and to their lead, they would win that game and even the series out 2-2. And I believe that, if I'm not mistaken, Game 5 was going to be going back to Sacramento, if I'm not mistaken. So that was a big game if they could win it. Unfortunately, the sequence of events favored the Lakers and helped to cement Robert Horry's Big Shot Bob reputation. As the shot clock was running down, Kobe Bryant, I think he missed a runner. I think Shaq missed a putback. And then Vlade Divac batted the ball back, I guess, hoping that one of his teammates would catch it, maybe a catch-and-shoot situation. But unfortunately, the ball went directly to Robert Horry, right to his hands. And I remember watching that game, and his release was so perfect. I knew that shot was going in. And as time expired, it was nothing but net. And that was pretty much it. He won the game for the Los Angeles Lakers. They took a 3-1 lead and ultimately won that series. And after the 2003-04 season, Robert Horry signed with the San Antonio Spurs, where he won 2 more championships in 2005 and 2007. And if there was, like I said before, man, if there was a role player Hall of Fame, he would be in it. Now, we look at his accolades. He's a 7-time NBA champion. He was on the All-Rookie second team back in 1993. He averaged for his career 7 points, 4.8 rebounds, and 2.1 assists. So his numbers aren't like I said before, his numbers don't jump out at you. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that, he kind of coasted during the regular season sometimes, man. I remember announcers even making jokes about that. Like Robert Horry, he's kind of just coasting during the regular season. The time that he really gets up is during the, playoffs. But, the numbers kind of show that. I think for his career in the postseason, in the regular season, Robert Horry is a 34% career three-point shooter, but during the playoffs, it ups to 36%. So, his concentration, his situational awareness were really high. The guy just really locked in. As far as his clutch performances, on May 22nd, 1993, Western Conference Semifinals Game 7, Houston Rockets at Sonics, but the score tied at 91 late in the fourth quarter and the shot clock winding down. Robert Horry, who was a rookie, took a pass from teammate Akeem. Elijah Warren knocked down a mid-range jumper to give the Rockets a 2-point lead with 32.7 seconds remaining in regulation. Although the Rockets will ultimately lose the Sonics in overtime. Exactly 2 years later, May 22nd, 1995, Western Conference Finals Game 1. Robert Horry hits a jumper with 6.5 seconds left to give Houston a 94-93 victory over the San Antonio Spurs. Later that same postseason run, June 11th, 1995, Houston Rockets Finals Game 3, with the Rockets up 101 to 100 with 20 seconds left and the shot clock running down. Akeem Olajuwon kicked it out to Horry, who hit a 3 over Orlando's Horace Grant to give the Rockets a 104-100 lead with 14.1 seconds left. It led them to a 106-103 victory and a 3-0 series lead. June of 2001, NBA Finals Game 3, Lakers at Sixers. With the series tied at 1, the Sixers were down 89-88 with under a minute left after a 3-point play by Kevin Ollie. Brian Shaw found Horry wide open in the corner. He then hit a 3-pointer with 47.1 seconds left to give the Lakers a 92-88 lead. Horry, who had been a 44% free throw shooter in the playoffs to that point, also made 4 free throws in the final minute to seal a 96-91 victory. The Sixers never recovered. That's atrocious. Horry usually is somewhere in the 70s. April April 28th, 2002. Western Conference first round. Lakers had Trailblazers down 91-89 with 10.2 seconds remaining. Kobe Bryant drove on Ruben Patterson. Ruben Patterson had kicked it out to Horry, who hit the game-winning three with 2.1 seconds left. Okay, so it was the Western Conference Finals, May 26, 2002, Western Conference Finals, Game 4. The Kings led 99-97 with 11.8 seconds left. After Kobe Bryant attempted a game-time shot and missed, Shaq attempted a putback. When that missed, Vlad Divac knocked the ball away to try to run out the clock. However, it went right to Horry, who hit the game-winning three-pointer at the buzzer to give the Lakers a 199 victory and tie the series at 2, going back to Sacramento for Game 5. Okay, so I had that miss. I missed that. I'm sorry. Sorry, man. I had that backwards. See that? I'm getting older, man. You know, time going on, so I kind of forget little details. That's right. If the Kings had won that game, they would have had a stranglehold of that series, a 3-1 lead going back to Sacramento. That's what that was. I completely forgot. That tied the series going back to Sacramento for Game 5. June 19, 2005, NBA Finals Game 5, Spurs at Pistons. Horry inbounded to Manu Ginobili, who was cornered by two Pistons defenders. Ginobili passed it back to Horry on the left wing, who then hit a three-pointer with 5.9 seconds left to give the Spurs a 96-95 victory and a 3-2 series lead heading into Game 6. Horry had scored 21 points in the fourth quarter and overtime combined to carry the Spurs. April 30th, 2007, Western Conference first round, Game 4. Spurs at Nuggets with the Spurs up 90-89 with 35 seconds left. Tony Parker drove into the paint, drawing his defender, and Horry's defender, Marcus Camby, away. Parker then passes to an open Horry on the right wing with the three-pointer to give the Spurs a 93-89 advantage. The Spurs won 96-89. Those are key moments, not to mention clutch shots that he made during the regular season. And this is one of the great clutch performers in the history of the NBA. And number 2, Robert Horry.